What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another post game here on Mets Central. Sorry, just trying to fire it up on Twitter too. I don't know what to say. The Mets lose to the Milwaukee Brewers 7-6 today. Um, not even bothering with the graphic much because why with this group of players in particular, why is it that there's clearly a lack of heart with the players? I don't know what it is, but something has to change with the way that this team handles themselves in the clubhouse. This is this group's third manager, fourth actually, because most of this group has been here since 2019, and there was just no heart on this team today. There wasn't, and I'm reacting to this as today's game. So if any of you think I'm blowing this out of proportion because I'm taking this as this is going to mean what the whole year is, but I've seen enough of a sample size to know at this point that with this group in particular, with the core guys in particular, it's the same crap that we talk about every year. We talked about in 2019 with this group that they were young and inexperienced. Okay. 2021, they have an inexperienced, incompetent manager yet again. All right. Get a veteran manager. They bring in a veteran manager, and there was no fire under that veteran manager. 2022, they win 101 games, but it was not Buck Showalter that made the difference. Now they have a new manager come in, and there's still no fire. The fact that it took until Johan Ramirez came into this game for Rhys Hoskins to get sent some sort of a message is putrid. I'm sorry it is. And I'm not one that advocates injuring players intentionally or anything like that, but something had to be done. And instead, they wait for the guy to go 3 for 3 and just dog walk them the entire game to make a statement. The only guys that showed up at the plate today were Francisco Alvarez and Brett Beatty in his pitch hit assignment. Started had a couple competitive at bats, sure. I'm going to take that away from him, but I mean, top of the lineup. Congratulations to Pete Alonso hitting a home run when the game was already over. Would have been nice if Mr. 341 million in front of him got on base before that. But what is there to say? I mean, Nimmo's been putrid these first two games. Am I worried about him? No, but I'm just going off what it's been these first two games. Lindor does need to wake up. Alonso on the defensive side has been putrid, and I'm not excusing him for the fact that he still had a piss poor offensive performance today at certain points. Some of those at bats that he took were so non-competitive. First pitch swinging yet again with this guy. Tyrone Taylor cannot hit cleanup again. No, can't do it. Alvarez should have been hitting cleanup. There was no reason not to. I don't give a rat's ass that the guy went 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 yesterday. Whatever it was, he needs to be hitting cleanup until JD Martinez is here. I don't want to hear it. I don't want anybody to argue. Just take the numbers that Tyrone Taylor has in the cleanup spot and stick it up your keister because I don't want to hear about it. There's no reason to put this guy in the cleanup spot ever again. Zach Short, good story for the guy. Gets to be on a major league roster after he finds out his grandmother passes away. But sorry, he can't be here either. He can't. He's not a major league caliber player. His glove was piss poor today. He had a hit. Cool story. But most of the bats were just not competitive at all. And Harrison Bader, this thing's getting tiring with him already quickly. And I get that he's making plays in the outfield that are more he's making them look routine compared to what we've seen in the past. This thing's getting old 2 games in of him being piss poor at the plate. Then he does get a hit, and for whatever reason, he tries to leg it out into a double. I don't know why. I guess it wouldn't have mattered because Nimmo just would have hit into a double play right after since the guy just can't hit a lick right now. Luis Severino stunk up the joint, and I'm disappointed with that in particular because I actually was excited about Severino and thought that I was actually intrigued and bought into the Severino thing. I tried to sell myself on it, and I'm not going to give up after one outing, but one outing in, man, Was it bad? He didn't walk a batter. Great. How about because of the fact that he just left everything in the heart of the plate? And that's why he did not walk a single batter. Hooray to him for having 6 strikeouts. He still allowed 12 hits, allowed a home run, and his velo looked off today. I don't know if it was. I'll check right now the exact breakdown on Savant, but yeah, his four seam was down. Very apparent. Spin was down on everything. None of his pitches had movement today. So I'm not surprised. And good for the bullpen for doing a good job outside of Ottavino, who did terrible. Adam Ottavino, if he doesn't allow a run and have a stinker of an 8th inning, maybe this is a ball game. Or if Carlos Mendoza pulls Severino early out of the game when it was very apparent the guy should not have been in the game going into the 5th inning, maybe the Mets would have actually won this baseball game. But even if they did, there's so many storylines to this game that I just can't look past. You have DJ Stewart, who, by the way, we have Tyrone Taylor hitting cleanup just for him to get pitch hit. So we have a cleanup hitter that needs to get pitch hit for because he's not hitting the damn baseball. That's great stuff. DJ Stewart looked like Daniel Vogelback up there, just taking pitches right down the dick and then swinging at some of the worst pitches I've ever seen in my life. He needs to be off the roster too. I'm sorry, he does. And the timely hits weren't there. 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position. That's great. But why is it that this team needs 2 outs to get some sort of rally going to where they can't get a sacrifice fly, maybe to get an extra run, to where they can't, get a sacrifice bunt to move a run over? It's always with 2 outs. And I'm happy that Yohan Ramirez made the statement to Rhys Hoskins, like I said, but there was no heart from this team in terms of doing it earlier. There should have been a message sent in his first at-bat. And I get the argument that, well, you don't want Severino to be ejected from the game that early. Okay. Well, one, that's a different part of the game, so they probably aren't going to eject him after the first inning because with that logic, again, why would the Mets want their starter to intentionally hit a guy? But they didn't even need to throw the way Yohan Ramirez did at him. Just throw something inside the plate, low and inside, to where it's, maybe getting the lower part of his body, getting his leg or something, and send a message that way. Granted, Ramirez never should have even been thrown out of the game because there was no warning to begin with. I think it's ridiculous that he was thrown out, but I get what the umpires were saying, that it's clear that it was intentional. But Mendoza's got to get ejected in that spot and show some fire. That's just my opinion of that, but I digress. I don't know. I really don't know what to say with this team other than I'm just annoyed because it's not the way that this game went down. And like, if they made it a close game and they actually showed some heart and fire, fine. My problem with this game is the fact that there was no fire and no heart with this team at all. And this has been something that has continued for years and years. This is why whenever somebody says to me, oh, Brandon Nimmo should be the captain. Oh, Francisco Lindor should be the captain. Alonso, if he signs an extension, should be the captain. There's no fucking captain. There's no captain. I don't want to hear anything about a captain at all with this team. There's no David Wright of this group. There isn't. And if you think that, I'm not going to stop you from feeling that way, but there's no leader in this group. There just isn't. Sorry. And they just got bullied by the Milwaukee Brewers. And this is what has happened time and time again with this group. We saw this shit against St. Louis. We've seen this shit time and time again against the Pittsburgh Pirates when Taijuan Walker booted a ball foul. We've seen this shit even back in 2019 with the Colorado Rockies, the whole thing with Drew Gagno and everything. We've seen this shit for years now. There's no captain of this group. There isn't. And I don't know when there even will be, to be honest with you. But all I know is that they do have 160 games to right the ship here. I'm not ruling out the possibility of it, but there's something wrong, and there's something that's continues to smell bad with the leadership and the core of this group. There just is, and that's been my biggest question with this group And I started questioning it really in 2022 in September. If you guys were sub to my other channel, Ranger Central, where I just do Rangers content now for the New York Rangers, that is, and you guys watch my recaps then, I got a lot of heat for it. But down the stretch in September, even though they won 101 games that year, I was questioning the leadership group because something felt wrong. Something seemed very off with the leadership group. And now it's materializing more and more that there is something wrong. There's something wrong with this group of players, with the core guys, that is, because I still love the youth on this team. I love Francisco Alvarez, but I don't know if he's going to be the leader type guy necessarily. And I'm not saying that I'm doubting entirely his leadership abilities. It's more so the fact that I think he's kind of a guy that just likes to go under the radar and, be a little more quiet. He's had a couple of moments where, you're seeing him train Kevin Parada in spring training, but I don't know if he's necessarily the type that's going to take it on the chin every game and go in front of the media, whether the game is tough or not, and really make a stance for this team. Maybe he is, and I'd love it if he is. I love the youth on this team that they have and the prospects coming up. I'm not doubting any of that, but I hope that there's somebody with some leadership that comes up, because I really don't want to hear about Brandon Nimmo being captain material again. I don't want to hear about Lindor being captain material again. I don't want to hear it about Alonso. I just don't. It's clear as day that something smells off in that locker room. And maybe I'm dumb for questioning it 2 games in, but when you get bullied like you did today, there's got to be at least questions arose today, right? I can't be the only one that has these questions, because that's the thing too. I had people in my mentions on Twitter being like, oh, it's 2 games in. How could you say all this and react this way? Because this has been a problem since 2019. If this was something that wasn't reoccurring, then all right, sure, I could get on board the thing where it's like, all right, 2 games in, don't react this way. They don't want to, get all fiery and everything, get suspended now. But this team got pushed around, especially so much last year. You would think that you'd want, especially with the core guys that were here, you would think they'd want to come out and make a statement. But apparently that's not the case. And the score makes this game not look as bad as it actually was in terms of all this. Oh, and how can I forget too, when the Mets did hit their home runs, the scoreboard keeper decides to put up that the Queens crew, or Alvarez and Marte, got their home runs right after the Queens dance crew came out there. Give me a fucking break with this. I'm sorry that I may complain over the dumbest shit. I'll admit it, but it's just little things like that just annoy me. But I wanted to read this tweet from Rich McLeod here, because it couldn't be any more spot on. The Mets are one of those teams that has a dude punch them in the face, and rather than giving a punch back, they just keep getting punched over and over and over again. Where's the lie? I want to know where the lie is. I seriously cannot comprehend why this group is the way that it is with this stuff. And yeah, I need the New York Rangers to absolutely take a massive shit on the Arizona Coyotes tonight to make me feel better. Between the last 2 days of the Mets, between the Knicks and then the Eagles trading Hassan Reddick, I'm in a very bad mood right now. But the Mets already had me at 1,000 2 games in. I don't know what to say anymore, though, with this game, with this team. And I'm sorry that I didn't even recap this game the way that I normally do in terms of going in depth with the game. There's just so much more stuff that happened. It's hard to. I mean, what do you want me to say? Alvarez hit a bit home run. He came up big today. He needs to be hitting cleanup tomorrow. Brett Beatty had a big home run. He needs to be in the lineup tomorrow over Zach Short. Harrison Bader, I'm going to get tired of that thing quickly in terms of his poor play production. JD Martinez needs to come up here sooner rather than later. The top guys need to start performing offensively. There needs to be more heart, and Severino needs to ball out next start and have a statement start after this garbage because this was just pathetic. So I don't know, but all I know is that this is just it's just same old. And yeah, that's too. Uribe shut up and gave the did one of these to the entire Mets dugout after he got the save. I caught that too. That entire Brewers team just bullied the Mets. They took a massive shit on that team. They went absolutely, they went crazy on the Mets. Like they beat the shit out of them, stuffed them in a locker, took their lunch money, kicked them in the nutsack, and the Mets did nothing about it. Carlos Mendoza, I know it looks really, really bad, but we're not trying to hit anybody here. I don't know what to say about that one. I really don't. I can tell you now, though, I'm not going to turn completely on Mendoza right now, 2 games in, but I can tell you right now, this is 2 games in a row, though, now, where he's had some answers in his post game that I don't like at all. And that I think is really soft and giving the wrong message to this group that needs some fucking fire under their ass. And that's why I was screaming for certain managers, but this is the hand that we're dealt. And I don't know. Like I said, they have 160 games to right the ship and turn this around and make me feel differently. And I'm not counting out the ability to do so right now, but 2 games in, this already reeks. And it's sad because I actually got my hopes up for this here too, a bit. Not entirely. Like I said, playoffs, but that's really about the extent of it. I mean, I never thought they would go like far or anything, but I actually convinced myself with this team that maybe they'll, make a bit of noise and be at least competitive. And Keith Hernandez isn't happening as a manager. They're not going to hire Keith Hernandez. I don't even know who they could get that would be available. That would be a fiery guy. I thought that Mendoza would be more fiery, though, too, considering the fact that Aaron Boone has some fire to him. And I know Yankee fans hate Aaron Boone, and I know some people think he's a bad manager. You have to respect, though, that he has fire and he has his guys back all the damn time. And I thought somebody that learned under a guy like him would have that fire, but I don't know. But all I do know is that, again, they gotta right the ship here, and they gotta be way better next game. Simple as that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Would love to hear from you guys. Don't forget to leave a like if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe too. And we'll be back at it again tomorrow talking about this, hopefully talking about a win where I'm feeling a lot better, but I don't even know how much better tomorrow can make me feel unless they literally curb stomp them and Rhys Hoskins looks like an absolute clown and the Mets actually bully them tomorrow and give them a kick in the balls. We'll see though. But yeah, I'll see you guys on Ranger Central later if you guys are New York Ranger fans. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.